I'm just ready to go live. Perfect timing.
Oh, I tried. I spilt my drink, so I was like rushing really quick to clean off my desk.
Well, look at me. You can see what I've been doing.
Well, just call that you're doing that paint on gray to your hair.
Yeah, I painted. I got white. I've been installing lights. We're waiting for people to come on. We don't have anybody with us yet. I've been installing lights, and I got the hot and the neutral wires crossed, so I've got to take that thing all down. I bought a light that's too big for where I'm putting it, and so I've got to get the hacksaw out and get rid of part of it and change it because I've already cut the wire, so I can't take it back. So we have 10 people with us live now. So I've had the electricity off, so I haven't heard any news. Wi-Fi's been off and everything. So take it away, Elly.
Oh boy.
We haven't heard anything from Larry today at all, or last night or yesterday. So, it's been a while.
Well, no news is good news.
I hope that is absolutely right. I can't imagine the pain that man lives in. He's had so many broken bones. He's got so much shrapnel lodged in his body that can't be removed. Hi, James. Welcome. So I know he experiences tremendous. Eric, boy, we haven't seen you in ages. Welcome back. I know Larry experiences tremendous pain. So I hurt for him just thinking about the level of pain he must be in and the danger that he continues to be in because, hey, Renee, welcome back. I saw your message. I will get back to you. The phone was off while I was trying to do some electrical stuff, so I'll get back in touch. Anyhow, I lost my train of thought.
Take more rest, I think, the better he'll be. He just needs much needed rest.
I think with whatever he did to help stop the impeachment, I'm sure he rattled a lot of feathers and made somebody or somebody's pretty upset and angry. And so, for him to just lay low, whatever's going on would be really good. And I pray that his pain level can be managed. But Sherry, thank you. I am too. Take it away, Elly. I have nothing more. With the electricity off, I had no news happening.
Well, most of it was the preliminaries, and they all are about even Stevens is what I'm thinking, except for Biden. He's fallen off the side. And the thing about it is what I'm hearing, I had to finally shut off my Twitter. I just can't. Twitter just drives me nuts.
Tulsi's not still in the race. Did Tulsi drop out, or is she still in?
I think there's going to be a lot of dropouts today.
Amy Klobuchar
she did
third.
Good.
She's
third. In fourth.
Who was third then? It was Bernie, then Pete.
It was Bernie. It was Pete. It was maybe she was third.
Amy was third.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren was fourth, and Biden was fifth. Were there any more on the ballot in New Hampshire for the Democrats?
I know one of the guys, Yang, had dropped out. But I never even heard him at all. I think once on the beginning ones, but socialism just drives me nuts. It just, I just not into socialism. And,
Amy,
that's what they were talking about for the first part. And what gets me is now they're starting to, not mention climate change so much that they're still back. They're trying to, like Amy and Pete and even Bloomberg is all kind of like staying hush hush about it. But then when you ask them, when the reporters are starting to ask them, they go right back to socialism. So now, one of the things that I found out on the news was Schumer announced today that he strongly supports the Democratic candidates, and the Democrats will unite behind the nominee, even if they're socialist. Um, and they're trying to sound like, oh, we didn't really stand behind it, but we'll go along with it. They're the ones that have taken our flag, our anthem, our prayers. They've brought in Antifa and MS-13 to attack us. And, the prayers out of the schools. And, oh, no, we're not real hardcore socialist. But over and over again, over the last, I'm going to say since 2013, they've been showing us they're socialist. And there's no denying it anymore. And I think that's what it's going to boil down to. And thank goodness, maybe it was a precursor that Larry had those, the socialist bumper stickers and the shirts made up. Because I think he knew. I think he was totally right. Quite a few years ago when he said they were going to try to bring it in with Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bernie's been quite obvious about it.
Well, yeah.
Very obvious. And, the bumper stickers, folks, they're not expensive. You can either text me to get one, or you can go to the website and get one. I still have some, so just go ahead and text me about them. And it's Elly, Elly. And Monty has very graciously, very generously volunteered to buy a book, which if you donate $50 to Larry's PayPal account or send a check to me that I can deposit and put in there, then he will buy a book, and that's an extra. So your $50 plus the cost of the book will go to Larry. So that'll increase your donation by 50%. So if anybody wants one, give me a minute and I'll put my phone number in there, and you can text me to get either the bumper sticker or the book, and we'll take care of that ASAP. I can't send anything out till next week, but I should be able to do it next week. And
I have friends that live all over the place, and I have a friend that is in Virginia that decided they were going to make the trip up to try to catch the Trump rally and couldn't. So they pretty much settled for the Biden and the rest of them, just to kind of see what was going on. And she told me she was up pretty close because there's not very many people that show up. And she's standing there, and before Biden got up to speak, he leans over and he asks some guy in a suit, "Where am I at?" And so the guy told him, New Hampshire. And he goes, "No, am I in a Democrat or a Republican building?" And I sat and laughed with her on the phone. I laughed till I cried. So, we have heard that the doctors that's taking care of a lot of these senators and congressmen said quite a few are on Alzheimer's meds. And I think he needs to bow out gracefully at this point, because he had no clue where he was at. No clue.
Paul asked, when do you think Biden's going to drop out? Well, rather than answer those questions yesterday, because the reality was he was not going to do well yesterday in New Hampshire. And so he went on down to North Carolina, because that's the next one on February 29th. Yeah, there's February 29th this year. So he went on down to North Carolina, so he didn't have to talk about dropping out. But it's hard to imagine him going much longer.
I'm one that goes, maybe he's covering for something. And I'm thinking, maybe he's just getting forgetful so he could forget what Burisma and what happened in down there in Ukraine. But then, you know, you look at him and you listen to him for a while, and then you just know he's having a lot of issues. The poor guy, you know, the poor man is just, he's at the end. And I think somebody needs to tell him that, you know, Bernie is doing really good. And, you know, maybe it's time that you let someone else take the reins.
There's a cartoon that's out there. Somebody sent it to me an hour ago. Of let's see, who all is it? John Kerry, Mitt Romney, Biden, with their hands in a till that says Ukraine, and then their other hand they're pointing at Trump coming in the door, saying, "We gotcha."
Yeah.
So William was saying we're on just one heartbeat from destruction. William, since 2015, Larry's been saying, rub your fingers together, your thumb and your forefinger together. And the space between when they're rubbing together is how close we are. So one heartbeat is...
Well, they've made it so it's going to be a socialist versus capitalism ticket. And I mean, I've even I had to back off my main page because I have a lot of Democrat friends, and they're worse than Twitter at this point. And you know, I just got to stick to my news page, and I have a joke page also that I throw a lot of jokes and some really good ones, and videos. And you know, I'm just going to have to stick with that because I can't convince my friends and family that they're on a road to destruction and socialism, and I just can't bear to watch it anymore because, you know, they're not listening to me. And Dan Bongino yesterday said, you know what, there just comes a time where you draw the line in the sand, and it's time for the Republicans just to stand up and say, you know what, we're it. Trump's going to make it, and we're not going to put up with you no more. And that's kind of where I'm at anymore. You know, I just can't, I'm just not going to deal with them people no more. You just have to say, you know what, we're going to win. And not only that, is his rallies. A lot of them back for 2016, when he started right about 2014 on the rallies, they were 7, 8, 9,000. Now look, they have tripled. And then this last one, 25%. I think I told you guys this yesterday, but 25% of the people that showed up to his rally were Democrats. And that is just awesome. That's awesome. And then, you know, 10% were independents. So we're getting their attention. I don't think the people in this country want socialism. I really don't think they do. And if they think the immigrants coming in and the illegals coming in that are running from socialism and communism, that this is what they want, they're just, I don't know, they're in dream la la land.
There are two groups on Facebook against socialism. I mean, I have a group, Never Socialism, on Facebook, but there's also Young Americans Against Socialism and Hispanics Against Socialism. And Hispanics Against Socialism, their leader is speaking all over the country. She's doing, Morgan, I think is her name. She's doing an incredibly good job. And she has a lot of immigrants coming in talking about what socialism was like in their home country, and you know, trying to convince people this is not what you want. You know, it'd be great if they could do a lot more on college campuses and hit more college campuses with some of these immigrants, but they are hitting a lot of them. And can't remember who she was interviewed by recently, but she's really getting her name out there, and a lot is being done, a lot is happening with these folks. And I really appreciate the really professional way they are going about getting their message out.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, the big thing that came out in the news this morning, and I read quite a few articles on it, just to get to, what exactly had happened. And the Republicans boycotted the hearing this morning with Adam Schiff. He was doing one on science and technology. And they had wrote a letter, and it basically said that after the IG report had issues, that they felt they could move forward into investigating, not only the corruption that was mentioned in the Mueller report, but the IG report and maybe even the Durham report. And Adam Schiff, he just don't want to deal with that. He's going to move on to science and technology today, which makes no sense in the Intel committee. That would be more for like ways and means, because that would be something you're asking for money for. Where the Intel is looking into corruption as far as intelligence of our government. And then if not, then it goes to judiciary. So they were basically, so they boycotted it and sent a letter and told him he needs to think about what he's doing. And it was signed by all the nine members, I believe, of the Intel committee. And not only that, but they even said the Judiciary Committee was going to send a letter over, as well as Mitch McConnell, and going to tell him it's time to move along. There's stuff that needs to get into Congress and into Senate on the corruption of the Mueller report, because even today it's coming out that the inconsistencies and even corruption by not only with the FISA applications, but with the people that had submitted depositions had lied. So, big salute to our Republicans, and Nunes is the one I think leading this fight, and so is McConnell. That we need to get this into Intel committee, and we need to start finding out what happened. Even if it's a resolution, once it's sent to Senate, they can act on it and maybe even send some indictments out. So, this is good.
Isn't Lindsey Graham in charge of the Senate Intel Committee, and isn't he looking into this?
Yes. And see, that this is what should be done first, not them getting upset because Trump put science and technology into the budget. I think that's what their fuss is over. It's time to go backwards, and it's not the Republicans' fault that they tied up our committees for how many years now? 3, 5? I mean, sometimes even more than that, where they have not let anything go into our committees except for what they've wanted. So now it's time for the corruption to come out and show what they've been doing. And I think Adam Schiff and Schumer is just scared to death of this coming out.
Well, at all. There's a whole lot more than just the two of them. Yep.
James? Yeah, I'm glad, James, that it was on Rush Limbaugh, because I didn't get to do my show this morning because my daughter's having some tests done, so I had to be there for her. But that was one of the first things on my list this morning was they're fighting it. Now they're scared. Now the shoe is on the other foot, and you know what? They're all of them. Even just with the Ukraine stuff, it pulls the DNC and a lot of the Democrats as being part of it and covering it up. So time for it to come out. So it's investigators just by itself. She's going, oh my gosh, Elly, I'm going to kick you under the table.
Anytime I look, it's always investigators news, and I see.
Yeah, it's because we had them in sync for a while, but our original channel has so much more,
Yeah.
And
But
I mean, it
every time
broke my
tried,
heart when Facebook took it from me. I mean, you're not supposed to cry over spilt milk, but I cried over investigators because I'd worked so hard for so long. And we brought my brother in that's very Christian, and he's been doing prayers, before his shows, and we had built it up um, to be so great, and then to have it snatched from me.
see,
And Facebook they weren't going to give it back to me until I said, you know what, I might as well just join in on these lawsuits, these massive lawsuits against you. I said, because you've pushed me to do it, you've pushed me to it. And within 24 hours, they had all my strikes and everything I'd ever done gone, and gave my investigators back.
now I just found your investigators. When I looked up investigators, it did not come up. But when I put in investigators news
on Facebook, it should, and it has the fire fist is right, how everybody sees it.
I'm gonna hold it up. Let's see.
There we go. There it is.
So I had to find it. I had to go to investigators news. I couldn't find it just putting.
Yeah, I do have a referral over for those that kind of get lost. Yeah, because we have some that keep going over to the newer channel, and the newer channel was like the new prototype of what we were going to bring in, because we're in the middle of building my studio up, and in a few weeks it should be ready. And I'm really excited. I'll have the new microphone and cameras to go out on the field with now, and I have a lot of trips planned for this spring, to the Capitol and back out to Dreamland. I would just love, one of these times, Mary Ellen, I'm going to come in and I'm going to tell everybody about Dreamland. It's actually, now they make American flags, and they're one of few here in the United States that do make them, and they make them all sizes. And it's really funny how after everything that had happened to Dreamland and over in that area of town, that it ends up being a place that makes our American flags. They make them right there. And also, part of history of basically civil rights, and Martin Luther King and the great R&B artist. And I mean, it's an awesome story that, it took me, I think, 2 or 3 shows to finally get through with it. But I just love it. I love the history of it. And the lady that put the flag company there, she also preserved the ballroom because of so much history. And, you could just feel it. You could feel it. You could feel B.B. King and Sammy Davis Jr. and the Rat Pack and everybody. You could just feel it in there. I mean, it's a really, I never thought, you'd get that from a building. And I've been into a lot of historical buildings, but that one, there's something there. There's just magic.
It's called Dreamland? You said it's called Dreamland?
Dreamland Ballroom.
And where is that?
It's down in Little Rock. And it was one of the last stabs that the Clintons did to the Black Americans in Little Rock that were finally, to me, I feel if the Democrats wouldn't have taken down the ballroom, and I believe it's 9th Street, it would have not only been way bigger than Memphis, but it would have made a whole difference in the quality of life and the economic status of Black Americans in the South. I think it really would have made a change, because we had MLK, we had Robert Kennedy here to help. they were going to change it to where they were going to be something. And the Democrats just took them down. They just took them down. In between the KKK and what they did here to 9th Street and the rhythm and blues and the blues people, it just stunted them. It just totally stunted them. And then they think the Clintons think, well, we're going to erase it. We're just going to mow it down to you can't see that there was anything there. And then they put the freeway so close that you can't even tell there would have even been a little city there. And there was. It was a little city, and it was booming. And they had to take it away. And you could I look up and down that street, and it's like, why the heck did the Clintons do this? And then you go, well, you know what? They called them thugs and criminals, just like Bloomberg. When I heard Bloomberg's little speech, it was almost mimicking what Hillary Clinton said in the 80s when I was here and heard that speech. And I was like, oh my God, if she was because I was from California, and it was like, oh my God, if she said that in California, she would definitely be burnt on the stake. We didn't tolerate that in California, and to move to the South where there was still a little racism. And the Clintons are the ones that kept the school segregated, even into the 80s and early 90s. When they left, we changed it. So, it's just sad the little things that you find out. And that's kind of why I like doing the Clinton crimes, is there's all these little stories that people don't know about that they've done. And, and they'll see the hatred we have for them. It's not so deep we want to goes deep into the soul, but it's deep enough that we want justice and on many aspects. And thank God the ballroom is still there. That's history, and it's still standing. So.
So some people are talking about the virus.
Yeah, MW mentioned that they had them, when they went around the country and they were campaigning, they shut us down here. The media shut us down. They would not let us speak badly of the Clintons, and every time we had went to the media, they didn't want to hear it. Even Juanita Broderick, they didn't show, when they did her show, it was in the middle, I think, of the election, and they shut her down. They didn't show her show till, I believe, many years later. And even one of their really closest friends, Dolly, she even tried to go to the media, and they shut her down. They said, no. And if it wasn't for some of the radio people, like, I'm going to say Tom Levin, not Tom Levin, Mark Levin, because he kept it going, but not many people were listening back then. And I even called into Rush Limbaugh show twice saying, you guys don't understand what they've done here. These are horrible people. They're mafia type, and they've killed people, and they've ordered people to, and I even told them about Larry Nichols back then. And, even Rush Limbaugh said, well, you got to have some proof. And I said, then come here, listen to us. Nope. And it's not like we didn't try. And, Larry, look at all that Larry Nichols was trying to do. And, he says 28 years to nowhere. No, it in the long run, nowhere actually is turned to somewhere because of him. People are listening, and people now listen to find out the crimes they did commit, and they understand the Clintons a lot more. The more we speak out, the more people are going to know the extent of their crimes, and they'll start seeing how they taught their friends how to commit a lot of these crimes, like foundation abuse. You know, Obama's isn't even registered yet. And I believe that was on crowdsource with Charles Ortel.
The Clinton's foundation? I mean, the Obama's foundation? You talking about the Obama Foundation?
He's one that I watched a lot of just to find out on the foundations.
Yeah, are you talking about Obama's? Are you saying that Obama's foundation has not been registered yet? Elly? Are you saying that Obama's foundation has not been registered yet?
No, Charles Ortel says it has not been registered. Either or not correctly. And oh my goodness, if you guys were to watch some of Charles Ortel, maybe some of you do, you will see the mirror image of the Clinton's foundation to Obama, to Pelosi's, to Feinstein's and Schumer's, and they all have them. They all got foundations, and they're all run basically the same way. The same way Larry Nichols started back with AFTA. Oh, it's for college students and college loans and helping moms. And sound familiar, Mary Ellen? Sound familiar?
Yeah, that story's in here.
There you go. You know,
the book was written 2 years ago, so now it's a 30-year fight.
You know, and I had to learn Larry Nichols. I had to learn and deep learn Larry Nichols to actually figure out what they were doing, because it goes in so many directions. And, you know, learning from Larry, what I did, it really did help me start piecing it together, almost like my brother Larry says it's the same way. It's like you get your little sticky notes and you put them up on the wall and you put it all in order, and then it starts making sense. And that's exactly what I did. And then I thought, well, you know what? Let me check out Larry Nichols, because I think he knows something. I think he knows something. And oh, here's a good story. I don't know if you've maybe heard it. I lived in Valonia, Arkansas. It's a little itty bitty town, and it's like 900. There was like 900 people in it. And there's a place called Van's Cafe. It used to be in the middle of town before the tornadoes hit. And every morning there would be like the mayor of El Paso, Arkansas, not Texas, and Valonia, and a few guys that would come up that was Congress or senators that, and let's see, the sheriff or the police chief of Valonia, and a few others from the surrounding area. And it would be a group of like 10, 12 of them. And they would get together and they would have coffee and breakfast in the morning. Well, I'd take my kids to school, and so I'd go over there and have coffee. Well, you know, I would move closer and closer to hear what they were saying, you know, but I didn't want to be nosy. But, you know, they always had interesting political and news. And now, mind you, Mary Ellen, this was in, I'm going to say 96, when I first started finding out the boys on the track. So I knew very little about Larry Nichols, okay? I really didn't know the name per se. I knew the face, not really his name so well. So one morning they invite me over, and so they buy me breakfast, and so I'm sitting there listening to them, and the men are going on, and they're talking in circles. And they say, you start talking about the Clinton corruption, and that how bad it was, and how many people and banks they even caused to close down over their racketeering. And they said, well, thank goodness Larry Nichols got away with all the paperwork. And they say to this day, the Clintons are still looking for paperwork that they had to find another accountant to finish off because they couldn't remember how he did it. And it wasn't quite the system that Larry Nichols had. And then they mentioned that what Larry Nichols didn't get that Vince Foster went back and got. And that's what was in the briefcase that was missing. And see, so I'm letting you guys in on some info that I had heard that is one of my sources. And most of these gentlemen are pretty much past. But, you know, I still, every now and then we run into them. And so they basically said they hoped that Larry Nichols would someday get all, you know, release all the documents, release what he had, or at least write a book of what happened. And, you know, and that was, like I said, back in 96. And, you know, that's the kind of stuff I kept running into. It's not that I was searching a whole bunch back then, but it was, I would meet people that would mention names. And then I realized, well, Arkansas is kind of small. So I guess that's why I keep running into these news, you know, news stuff. And men, older guy that was into politics or a mayor or a senator or a congressman that are talking. And you know what? The Clintons need to be after Lassiter. I don't know if he's still alive, but they should have taken him out because he was a blabbermouth. He was telling everybody whatever they wanted to know here. You know, and I'm not sure if Larry mentioned much on Lassiter, but Lassiter I went looking at because of the, it was part of the sex trafficking that I looked into Lassiter on. So that even tells you they're best friends, how big a range of the corruption there is. And sometimes I spin in my chair, you know, it's the foundation, then it's sex trafficking, then it's racketeering, and it's, you know, people that wind up dead to banks that they have swindled and fires and to burn their evidence. And wow, you know, it never stops. So we'll have to see if anybody have.
Well, Larry told me one time that, you know, the money that the Clinton Foundation laundered, there's a paper trail. Even online, there's a paper trail, and they can track anything and any amount anywhere it goes, anywhere in the world. So there's a digital footprint that's left. I think he called it a ghost print or something like that, that even if you delete it, there's still something there. And so,
you know, even when they thought they had burnt that building, Cersei built the bank in Cersei, it caught on fire, and none of the walls, they were talking it was massive, and you know, it burnt everything inside. Well, no, it looked like it just burnt boxes of paper. And some of the stuff they found were like old ballots from when they were here. And some of it was documents that they stored. And I don't know if everybody remembers it. I believe it was in 2017 when two great big DOJ planes landed at the Little Rock Airport. And they loaded up box after box all day long of documents and furniture. Furniture I didn't understand. I think I've told you guys this before. But I even got the flight ticket, a picture of the flight ticket for it, and pictures of the planes on the tarmacs to prove. And not even a week before that, Sessions was here talking to like the task force and DEA task force and the different police departments and stuff here. And then all of a sudden we've got DOJ planes at the airport. And thank God I had gotten it. Thank goodness I had got those pictures. And I got them through Doc Washburn. He's a news radio guy down in Little Rock. And he told everybody about it.
The pictures of the planes from the DOJ with Sessions that came and got documents?
It was, you know, because you know, they can't pull a fast one on us here. You know, this whole state is Republican. This whole state wants justice, you know, because of what the Clintons have done to the whole state. That's why I said there's just so many stories just alone here of what they did. And so, when stuff like that happens, people pull out their cell phones and they start taking pictures, and I'm glad we have people that will do that and send it to, like Doc Washburn. I get stuff. There's another set, I think, of people that do a little bit of alternative news, and they get stuff, but we share it with one another. And, say, hey, we got to get this news out. We got to get the info out. We got to let the people know, and I got real excited. I was thinking, in 2017, yes, we got them. They're going to go get Hillary right now. No, here we are, 2020, and I'm still waiting.
Well, we're waiting to get a change in the court, makeup of the court.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is such a hard area. The Democrats here are so deeply entrenched, and they just don't get it. They don't believe the truth. They don't want to know the truth. They think they know everything, And so if you can't get a fair jury, you're not going to get a fair trial. And until President Trump can replace the judges, there's not going to be a court to go in, because they'll just Rule 11 frivolous lawsuit and seal everything and put a gag order on it.
Mary Ellen, it took us 10 years to get their people out of power here. Everything from the local cop to judges to district attorneys, attorney generals, and governors, and it took us a very, very long time. Police chiefs, they just corrupted from the bottom to the top of every anything that we could have got them through the police, the courts, the cities, the state, the feds. They had everybody in power, and no wonder, Larry had to lay low for so many years, because it was so corrupt. It was like living in a mafia state, because everything was so covered up. And Larry has said so many times, who do you call? Who do you call when they come after you? And then you're told, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. There's nobody watching you. Your phones aren't tapped. Well, when you're hearing beeps and clicks and static, and you get disconnected, and you're hearing breathing on the phone. Man, I have been on the phone with somebody before where I heard light breathing, and it wasn't me and it wasn't her. But, it was like almost like they wanted us to know we were being listened to. And that's when I had to go and get me some protection. And we shouldn't have to do that in this state. And it went on for so long, 10 years to get them people out of power. And then, 20 years of looking over our shoulders if you know anything? And then, and when I make a lot of stink on Twitter, I just get the feeling, I just get a weird feeling. I think I told you that yesterday, Mary Ellen. I just get a weird gut feeling of something's not right, but I can't put my finger on it. So I try not to think about it, and said, you know what, Hillary, if she's going to come get me, or she's going to send her little goonies to come get me, so be it. But I'm going to tell Larry's story till the day I die. And because it's Larry that showed me everything that I've learned and got me going. I think I went way different directions than he has. But in, doing a news page, I got to go into every single direction that they've went to, or the people they have actually gotten to. And when I did Clinton Crimes this last week, I did Peter Smith. And Peter Smith's story I learned from Jason Goodman, crowdsource. He did, I think, a 2 or a 3-part series on Peter Smith.
Now, who was Peter Smith?
He was Oh my goodness. He was like an eccentric billionaire that was like giving a lot of money to the DNC and the campaign. But I think like some do that have money and they start seeing the corruption. Well, he went from a billionaire that just blowing his money on whatever to deciding he was going to investigate and become a journalist. And he started looking into the Clintons. And they said he was happy. In fact, Charles Ortel knew him. And he was happy. He was doing fine. The different stories from different friends that I've looked into said he was happy. He was ready to get out and promote a new book. And then all of a sudden one day, and this is odd for him, everybody said he's never talked about it before, he decides to commit suicide. So he goes to Walmart and he buys helium tanks. And so he decides to put a bag over his head and fill it with helium and kill himself. And this was like almost an 80-year-old man. He only bought one helium tank at Walmart and they don't have nothing else. There's stuff missing out of the room. It's a good whodunit story. And, you know, it's one I wanted to bring out early to show you just how far the Clintons go on stuff, on the suspected crimes they commit, that for people that are close to them that start looking into them. And Peter Smith is a really good one. I don't know if anybody had watched it yet, but it's 3-part series that Jason Goodman does, and it's really good. And for this old man to kill himself like that, when he could have probably got his doctor to write him prescription pills and he could have overdosed that way. It just seems overkill on himself. But suicides with the Clintons are so weird. Look at Epstein's, how he hung himself. He tore up sheets when he had a cord right next to him he could have used. Quick, easy, simple. No, he thought about it and had to tear up bed sheets. Overkill, you know, it just, so many of the suicides that stem around the Clintons are so questionable. And there's hundreds of them. Yeah, all run like, it's like a Clinton body count, but it just never does justice because it misses so many suicides that it just has their name all over it. I mean, they might as well just stamp Clintons were here on the bodies, because anymore, that's what everybody believes. But the first thing everybody said about Epstein, Arkansas, you know, Arkansas, the public's smart. And, you know, thank you, Larry Nichols, for helping us get this word out. You know, Arkansas got out there. Now, when something happens around the Clintons, we all know they're crooked. And that's probably close to 90% of the country. Heck, even fellow Democrats will say it, just in fun. Oh my God. You know, my birds, Pam, they are quiet until the camera goes on, and then they won't shut up. They just, every once in a while, I'll lean over and I'll do a piece of paper and they'll hush. But about 5 minutes later, they squawk worse. And they're little parakeets. And they're my granddaughters. In their house, her room, she likes to keep the fan on, and it's too cold. So she brought them to me. And so Grandma is stuck with the parakeets, the noisy parakeets. So
Epstein. Oh, Epstein didn't kill himself. Have you guys heard the joke about the person, the man, the woman who goes to the customer service at Walmart and says, "Would you please page my husband for me? His name is Clinton, killed Epstein." And the woman didn't get it. She just, "Would Mr. Clinton killed Epstein please come to the front?" It's funny.
Oh, we used to do.
Everything.
Oh, we used to do that in school. You remember you call people up and have them ask for people over loudspeakers, and they would fall for it. Heck, I right before I went to work for Target, because before I became disabled, I was in training to be a personnel manager at Target, and I was so excited about it. But I was a district manager for what they call Straw Hat Pizzas in California, and there was, I believe, two. They were working on a third one, and I used to do that. I used to call in and kind of disguise my voice a little bit and have them. I come up with a weird combination and have them record. Tell them to come to the phone, and they were, especially some of the girls that were in high school. They would actually get halfway through asking for it before they realized what they were saying. And oh man, I would just laugh, and the people in the restaurant would laugh. I had a good time, but I was a pretty cool manager, district manager back then. So I haven't changed. Everybody that knows me from high school, they say I've never changed. I'm same. My hair is the same. I just never change. Never change.
If you go on investigators on Facebook, you can communicate with her that way. Who's Cody? I don't know. I don't know who Randy's talking about with Cody not being a good guy. Oh, Cody Snodgrass? Yeah, he's talked about what happened at the Murrah building. Let me see who this is and whether I have to take it or not. No. Sorry about that. We're not using the phone. It rings. So, people know various. Yes, I saw that Net Detective Rudy's his Common Sense, Rudy Giuliani Common Sense episode 6 is up now. That's his ongoing discussion of what's happening with the Ukraine investigation. So I'm very thankful that he's gotten permission to talk about that, because
we're going to attempt it Saturday. Me and my brother, or I should say, the three of us that do my page. We're going to attempt a live version of the Ukraine thing. And I've been like, that's what you were saying yesterday. You asked what I was doing. I was looking at my notes way down. And I just, every time Rudy puts another one out, I end up having to put more in. And it's like, oh my gosh, I wish he'd stop until we can get the show done. But we're hoping we nail it, because not very many people are talking about it. And the only reason why we're doing it is because I was looking into Ukraine in 2014, 15, right before the war started, because they were getting restless. And Putin was complaining about Ukraine being attacking people. And so I really started looking into it then. And then all of a sudden they were in the revolution. And then it was Manafort was there, and then the Podesta brothers, and then Roger Stone. And it was like, what the heck are they doing there? And then I found out Kerry had been there. The Bidens had been there. And it was like, if there's a big, huge civil or like a revolution or a civil war going on, what are they doing in the middle of it? And I never could find out, even looking into what Putin had to say, what Ukraine had to say. It was mum until Giuliani and John Solomon and them started looking into it. And then it clicked to me what I was reading and what I was watching. And it's really sad what they did to the people there. It real sad what they did. I do Clinton Crimes on Fridays. It's 9 p.m. Eastern. And then I do my morning shows Friday for the Clinton Crimes, Friday night. Tuesday through Fridays for my morning shows. I just do news of the day. And then my brother does shows, but his are Q shows. And I know Larry does not approve of Q. But if you guys are interested, you can go watch my brother. He does it with current events. So, and I tell everybody that's my brother's part. I get more into the Clinton crimes, Clinton corruption, the stuff that Larry Nichols has taught me, world news and news. So we got a little bit of both. And, I try to do more on like corruption cases on my Friday shows. And right now it's just going to be Clinton crimes for a very long time because everybody wants to know all the little stuff and all the stuff that they have done. I've gotten so many messages saying, I never knew that happened. Or some of them said, I never knew about Peter Smith or Terry Reid or about Tyson Chicken, being in the middle of it. And I did one good show on it. I did quite a bit. And then now I just been doing like a few shows with one or two of the different crimes that they were in the middle of. So I love doing it. I just, I have no need to, ask for money. That's why I always try to help Larry out. Larry, you need the money. Larry, you need your medicine. Let's worry about you. And me and my family, we're just having a blast doing this. And the more of the info we get out and the more we see people using the info, we just get excited and happy, to say, yeah, finally the word's getting out. So, if you guys, if you go to my Facebook page, I run a couple ads, and then on now YouTube, it's Investigator News. That's where it gets everybody confused. We do put all of our shows there, and we put some of our ads on there. And I like to do like wildlife or weather videos that I make up. And also in the mornings, for those that might be interested, I do earthquake reports on my morning shows. That's the first thing I do. If you get in there early enough, I go over all the earthquakes across the world and talk about them and talk about whether they could be fracking or they could be volcanoes or just, right there on the fault lines. And I love doing that too. So
I heard, was it this morning or yesterday, that they've discovered a super volcano in Utah that's even bigger than Yellowstone.
I heard that too, but I hadn't had a chance to go look at the volcano things because, I try to leave it all alone. Then Tuesdays and Wednesday mornings, I try to get in there and look at everything to see what's blowing up and what's flowing and what's shaking. And but that's what news is supposed to be about. You're supposed to hear about earthquakes, and you're supposed to hear about like the locusts that are plaguing Africa that is never mentioned. or, you know, some of the smaller wars in Libya, or what Saudi's doing, or what's going on with Japan. The news don't do that no more. And maybe it's because I'm just a Walter Cronkite diehard, because I liked how he used to do all the news, you know. They just don't do that much anymore. They'll have their human interest stories, and, you know, they just go on with just all about politics. And I think everybody, I think viewers and I think people want to know what's going on around the world, not just what's going on with Pelosi and Schumer. That, to me, that I get in too many days of Pelosi and Schumer, boy, I go for the kangaroos and being hugged in Australia. So I look for a better story. That was cute. They had the koala bears running up to the firefighters and hugging them and wanting water. And that just lit me up. I was like all happy about that, because usually they're wild.
Utah is one of the Four Corners states west of Colorado. Is that correct? Or, yeah. Yeah, it's Arizona. So it's north of Arizona, right? Utah. You've got Arizona is west of New Mexico, the Four Corners. And then north of New Mexico is Colorado. And then west of Colorado is Utah. Man, I got some weird noises going on in my kitchen. I don't know what that is. I hope I don't have any lights crashing to the floor.
You know, they used to, before they started screaming climate change, they used to, like Iceland, that said it put us in a deep winter the following winter. And now they call it climate change. But that's what I go on. And boy, you know, it can either go either way with a volcano. It can either give us the greenhouse where we'll have a super warm winter, or it will do the opposite and give us a super cold winter. And I predicted wrong. So I got to quit predicting what weather's going to do, because I thought it was going to be a deep, hard winter. You know, yeah, snow, all these volcanoes. Yeah, and the ash being up there blocking the sun. I thought I had it made. And it was like, then I went back and told my viewers, okay, everybody throw rotten eggs at me. I had it wrong. It wasn't the cold, cold winter. We ended up with a warmer one. So, but I'm not afraid to tell everybody I did something wrong.
Well, we're only halfway through winter right now. Anyhow, well, maybe 2/3. It would be nice to have spring come next month. Yay. Well, we're past 4 o'clock, so 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock to you. It's been over an hour. So I'm going to say thanks, folks, for being here. Appreciate the interaction in the chat. Thank you. I've got Larry's PayPal account there, nicholslive@aol.com.
Get those bumper stickers.
Yeah.
And the shirts.
Text me about this. You know, you can get the. I'm putting my phone number in again. You can get this bumper sticker and 28 Years to Nowhere from me, and then the T-shirt you can get online at nicholslive.com. So hard to get this thing centered right, but anyhow. And the lighting is just crazy. But Larry designed that T-shirt, so you could have it with or without Nichols Army on it. Yeah, we need to get some money to some of the guys are helping him. The bumper stickers are $5. We'll do. We can do that, Monty. We'll do. If anybody gives $50 and you want a book, let me know, and I will contact Monty, and he will pay for the book for you. So that's pretty funny, Chris, that Al Gore had to cancel a global warming conference because of a blizzard. Yeah.
Well, I'm going on Bernie Sanders last. We're all going to die in 10 years. And that would put us 2 years left right now. So the sky should be falling. And I say on my show, okay, Bernie Sanders, the sky is falling, Chicken Little. Yep, it's falling. Yep, just scare the heck out of everybody in the world. But you got 2 years now. I'm going to stick him to it. I'm going to stick him to the last. You know, he can't keep saying 10 more years, 8 more years, every 10 years.
Every 10 years is 10 more years. They've been doing that for decades.
Since the 70s. Since the 70s, because he was all big California dreamer out there. He used to hang out with the hippies out in California. That's where I learned about him. And it was 10 more years. We're all going to die. And yeah.
Yeah, they do that every 10 years. All right, folks, that's it for today. Thanks for being here. God bless you. And anything you can do for Larry to help him get his pain meds would be greatly appreciated, I'm sure, with, you know, between all the broken bones he's had and everything else. Yep. All right. God bless you. We'll talk tomorrow. See ya.
Bye-bye.